Hey, good morning, folks. Scott from Gregos Gardening. I wanted to give you all just a quick kind of update and I guess you say tour of what's going on in my fig patch. It is Tuesday, June 3rd, and things are moving along pretty nicely. But starting here, Del San Juame Gran has got a bunch of figs on it. So that's exciting. These make nice big figs. Paradiso Bronze. This surprised me, and it's got this huge root sucker, basically a whole nother tree. It's actually a bigger tree that started here, and it's got fruit on it and growing like crazy. I'll get that cleaned up after I get some of the fruit. Noir de Barbentane. So this tree is setting up. You can see here it is setting up to be a perfect container fig tree. I will eventually air layer this middle piece out and then have a beautiful vase shape that the tree produced naturally here. Doesn't have any fruit on it yet, which is a little bit disappointing maybe, but again, only a second year tree. So what have I got here? Rockaway Green. Probably could use some staking, but this one, I've got one here that I eventually will want to get rid of, probably with the air layer later on in the year, but it's set up nicely and it's got some fruit going on it. Then here, this one is a kind of a mess, and if I pull it out, you'll see it really needs some attention and some work. But this is just a plain old Martinenca, not a Martinenca ramata, but a Martinenca, and it produces really good fruit, a really strong raspberry flavor, and so I really like that one a lot. What do I have here? Is this Galicia Negra? Yeah. This is my Galicia Negra. Same thing. I set this up to be a container tree. I've got one scaffold down here that needs to come off and need to clean up some of the stuff down there around the bottom. But it's starting to set some fruit. Colonel Littman's Black Cross. I took a great big air layer off of this, and the tree reacted a little bit to that significant chunk being taken off and dropped some leaves and stuff, but it's starting to push back out with new growth, and it's got fruit and stuff on it right now, so that's all good. Black Greek Marius. This was another surprisingly good fig last year, and this is still part of that same tree. And then it's got a big root sucker that's coming up out of the bottom that I'll get cleaned up and air layered off. What is this? Oh, Socorro Black back here is really growing well right now. Hasn't put any figs on yet that I've noticed, but that's okay. Again, second year tree. Dan's BB10. I finally got one of the leaders staked to open it up some, and it's got a few fruit going on it. You can see in here. Hasn't been terribly productive, but that's okay. Still just a baby tree. So my Kelly Green Unknown. Again, this, is a tree that comes from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Has got a great story, and it's growing nicely. I still have it set up right now as a single central trunk, and I'm waiting to decide what I do with this. This may be a candidate to go in the ground. My Cessac is growing pretty well. It just hasn't put on a whole bunch of fruit, but that's okay. It's got some going on there, and we'll see where we go after this season with this tree. This is a little green ischia that I tried to correct, and I still have some work to do on it. I've taken 3 air layers off of it, and I have 1 more to go yet, but I'm gonna let it fruit first before I take this off. There was a really weird junction down here that just had junk going everywhere. And so I started air layering some of that off. So I got a whole bunch of green ischia air layers, and we'll have another big one before the year's over. A little Ronde Bordeaux that, again, I'm trying to root layer this big piece of it here, and probably get that taken off in the fall, and then it's doing its thing up there. This next one here is Green Greek. I got this tree from Little Bear Farm. It is not Sister Madeline's Green Greek, but gosh dang, did this produce fantastic fruit last year. Just outstanding. So I'm hoping it does the same thing this year. Here is my Cavalieri. This was my #1 fig last year, far and away. And so it's finally starting to put on some little figlets and some new growth and all of that kind of stuff. Then, way back here in the back, oops, sorry, this kind of scraggly looking crazy little tree is a purple passion. It is a tree that was allegedly found in Lake Jackson, Texas, which isn't all that far away from where I live. Oh, and I forgot, back here in the back, this limb here, which I should have straightened, this is Prosciutto Unknown, another fantastic fig, Adriatic type fig. I love Adriatics, as you will discover based on what I have collected. They seem to do really well here in this climate. White Madeira, #1 here in front, has got some nice figs going on it. This is Col de Dame Ramada. It has been growing nicely. Hasn't put on a whole bunch of figs. There's one little baby fig right there, and there's another one. Where is it? Oh, there it is, down there. But it hasn't been very prolific in terms of production. And then Campaneri, this thing's just got fruit all over it, maybe too much, I don't know. Col de Dame Roja is looking great. Oh, is this a good fig too? Goodness gracious. Thick and jammy and dense and just really, really good. Col de Dame Mutante, or Mutante, however you want to say it. Again, it's got a fair amount of figs on it, nothing crazy, but you know, decent. I've got a Texas peach. They're all hiding in there. It's got quite a few figs on it. This is a tree that was sold to me as Cavalieri. I don't think it's Cavalieri based on the fruit that I got off of it last year. So I have it labeled as an unknown, or Cavalieri Unknown, or I guess I could call it Cavalieri Not. Angelito. It's got a few figs on it. And I've moved these over here kind of more recently with the idea that they're going to get more sun, and because they've got several of these trees have a lot of figs on them. And this is a great example. This is a Borgesot Grease. This is a really, really nice fig. And so I want to be sure that this tree gets plenty of sun. You can see the sun coming up kind of behind me now. And then this, I absolutely love this tree. I just think it's beautiful. This is a Col de Dent Blanc, and these are great figs, if you don't know. But I like the shape of the tree and just everything about it. That was volunteer basil that I don't know how it got in there. I did not plant that intentionally, but such is life. It's not hurting anything. But yeah, I'm really just thrilled with this tree. Over here on this side, I've got red Lebanese, Baca Valley. Again, Mount Etna type that produces a really, really nice fig. And it's growing. That funny little breva hanging on right there. Nerucciola de Elba. This looks like it maybe could use a little bit of liquid love, a little bit of liquid fertilizer, give it a little boost. Texas BA1. This thing took a beating in some weather that we had, and I've also taken a couple of air layers off of it, and I've got another one here that still needs to come off, but it's actually got a fig that's turning down here. I guess you call it a breva, maybe? I don't know. And I did a bad job earlier in the year of getting this cleaned up down here, and so I maybe need to work on that a little bit. Figo Preto. Just slowly but surely, these don't grow fast, at least not for me. This is a De La Reina that I had some beautiful breva figs on. And right now, so far, this one isn't showing any main crop, but I've got a De La Reina that I've now put in ground, and it is producing main crop figs. And then I got all my pretty sunflowers going back over here, and my little plantains, and I even have a little pineapple growing back there. This is my, in great big giant air quotes, nursery. These are all, 95% of these little plants here are all cuttings that were rooted this year. There are a handful, there are a few that are second year, a couple of those back in the back that are just waiting to be up potted. But I'm really pleased with the growth that I'm getting. These, what is this? This is cherry cordial, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's cherry cordial. This cherry cordial just produces the most beautiful leaves. I think there's another one that I've got over here. Really, really pretty. Some of these have fruit, some of them don't. I don't really worry about these fruiting or doing anything. Here's a little black acacia air layer that I took off that is finally coming back to life for me. Just a few extras that are odds and ends. Some of these are going out to my father-in-law's place out in the country, and I'm gonna put these in the ground. This was a potato bed where I had a bunch of potato plants going, so what's the best way to go? Let's go this way. This is kind of, some of this is a mess back here because I'm still redoing it. And again, these are some second year trees. Most of these are extras that are duplicates that I have. But let's come back here and show you what I got along the back fence as the sun is coming up here nice. So in terms of the big things that I've got my Italian 258 here. Hasn't put on very many figs, but it sure has grown. I don't know if I need to move this somewhere else. You know, it's got 2 or 3 or 4 little figs growing on it right now. I mean, it seems happy. Grows like a weed. Then back here, I've got, this is Harry's Crete. And talk about a really good fig. This is another one that is just outstanding. And check out my great big Braba there that is finally starting to swell. I just noticed that now. I knew I had a Braba, and there's another one on there somewhere. Yeah, up there. Look at that. That is going to be some kind of good. But this is a fantastic fig, and it's really easy to get. If you're newer to fig growing in the fig world, I would strongly recommend this one. The berry flavor, the sweetness, it's just really outstanding. Vasilika Sika. This thing is growing nicely as well. Air layer that off a little later, and then I got a couple of root suckers down there that are pushing through. This tree down here, I don't know what I'm going to do with it other than eat figs off of it. This was sold to me as a white Madeira, which it is not. This is a yellow honey fig that, again, nobody can identify. That great big branch down there is going to get air layered off this winter. I've already taken 3 air layers off of this, trying to eventually train this to get more upright growth. But it's a process, and I'm in no rush. So this is just an unknown. I did get a nice Braba off that particular tree. All right, back in here, this is my Negra de Ajde. And originally I was going to train this and open it up, stake it down, but to me they're growing far enough apart to not be an issue, and backed up against a fence the way that it is. I'm just letting it do its thing. But I mean, every single node on this tree has figs. And this tree also, it did this a bunch last year. I don't know if it's going to focus on that or not. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Produces an inordinate number of mule figs for whatever reason. So, but again, you know, that's already over. Well, just counting considering this is brand new, this whole limb here is brand new growth just since this spring, as is, because this was just a stick. It was just a central leader. The central trunk was all that was there. So everything you see here is all new growth. So when I tell you that this tree is insanely vigorous and crazy productive, it is all of those things and more. Here is my Panache. It's got some nice figs on it. This produces a really pretty fig, even though the striping isn't quite as pronounced. The tree, even the variegation in the wood is just gorgeous. It's just a beautiful tree. You could actually use this in landscaping, I think, and really be pleased with it. You do have to be careful with these, especially if they're in a container like mine is. because at watering time, as they're ripening and swelling, they will split on you if you overwater. Here is my Santa Rita, my mother tree. This is probably my all-around favorite. It has really, here in the last few weeks, put on a lot of nice new growth. It didn't put on a lot of growth last year, but this year it really has, and that's exciting. I'm happy that it's thriving and doing well, and it's also got a ton of figs on it. Normally, in most years, this has been my earliest fig. This year, it was one of my absolute last figs to wake up. I was really afraid I had lost it, that something had happened to it and that it was not going to come back. But it's now back with a vengeance, and that makes me happy. The next one that I've got here is Black Bethlehem. And now this one is growing in more of a, a containerized version. Same thing, I had chopped it off. I don't know if you can see in there well enough. Last year, the growth on this thing, again, like the Negre de Ajde, was just insane. It's another Mount Etna. Mount Etnas just thrive down here where I am in 9A. Nice closed eye, and you can just see how productive. I mean, all of these figs, it's just nuts. So this is Black Bethlehem. I would recommend this to anybody down here in this part of the world as well. Santa Rita, Black Bethlehem, the Negre de Ajde, those are all just kind of no-brainers. Then back in here is my Verdino del Nord, and it's just a really, for me, it has been a really temperamental fig, kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it'll produce great figs, and sometimes it drops everything, and I have not figured out why. These are just some extras and kind of in a holding pattern. Some of these I don't expect. This is a young, you can already see this is gonna come off. It's a Pastelliere. It'll take a few years before that starts holding its figs. I'm excited for this one. I don't know if it'll fruit yet this year, but that's a Black Tuscan. And then look at this Pastelliere. I mean, it just tried to put out so many figs, but again, it's just a second year little tree, so I don't expect it to hold any of its fruit. This is one, I've got a question for y'all, and maybe somebody can answer it and tell me. This, a guy gave it to me. It's called he said it was called a Shubin. He thought it was a California seedling. I don't know. Hard time finding anything about it online. He said he had never gotten it to fruit, and well, lo and behold, it's got 2 fruits going on it right now. We'll see if they hold. I don't know. But if anybody has any idea what that is, please put it in the comments or message me or let me know. I have no idea. And then the last one over here is my Bourgeois Noir, aka Violette de Solis, aka Noir de Barbentane. And it's got some really, really pretty figs growing on it right now as well. This was far and away my most beautiful fig last year. Just absolutely gorgeous. And so I'm hoping for great things from it again this year. So this is a more recent piece that I'm trying to develop, and it will work well for the summer. These are all second year trees, and some of these that are going to be along the fence here where it catches probably the most sun. There's some that I've got open bottom containers, so I'm going to let them grow into the ground. I'm not going to try to go through every single one of these. I'll point out a few that are particular favorites of mine. Here's a pretty Stella that is putting on a few nice big fruit right here. If you can get your hands on one of these, get it. This is a Silegia Dolce. What a fantastic fig last year. Real strong cherry flavor. Again, Mount Etna type. My Famarn. I have already gotten a half dozen Breba off of it. Looks like I've got another one that's swelling over there. This is an English brown turkey type, and surprisingly good. I didn't think I'd like it. I got it just because it's from Germany, and my dad is from Germany, and so, but was a surprisingly good fig. I got it from Off the Beaten Path, and I've been really pleased with it, and I'm trying to get a root layer right there to have a second. JH Adriatic there in the back. What else have we got in here that's interesting? I don't know. Golden Rainbow right here that still hasn't fruited for me. Verdolino, I got a decent Breba off of that. Here is my Hativ de Argenteuil. Right here, this is an excellent fig as well, HDA. Here's another Black Tuscan right here. And this one is loaded up with little figs, so I'm hoping that produces. Anything else exciting or interesting? This tree here is called, I bought it off of Fig Bid as a large white Greek. I liked the story. It looks very, very similar to like a Stella or a Dalmati, which happens to be right here. What else is up here? This is my De La Reina. And so it's got a bunch of, relatively speaking, a bunch of fruit working on it. There's my Cameo, Cosmo the Wonder Pup, my ever-present squirrel deterrent device. This is a Malta Black here that is loaded up with figs. This is a nice little tree as well. This is a long neck yellow, or yellow long neck, however you want to say it. De La Roca here. So anyways, you get the idea. I'm gonna get water set up back here on these so that I can get some consistent watering. This is a CDA that is kind of all over the place and not sure what it wants to do. But this will catch really nice overhead sun, really intense sun. And we'll see how this does. Let me go show you the in-ground stuff I have in the front yard real quick, and that'll be a wrap. Here's my little in-ground patch that's out on my side yard. And everything's got figs on it. We'll see if it all holds. I'll start here. This row, these 3 rows here are all LSUs. This is Scotch Yellow, and it is definitely showing its Celeste genealogy because it's been dropping figs the way that a young Celeste does. I'm hoping a few of them will hang on long enough to ripen. We've already had some insane heat here for our part of the world. You know, upper 90s and some crazy winds and that kind of stuff that has not done any favors to these trees. My tiger, which didn't drop any fruit last year, same thing, has dropped fruit this year, and so I don't know. We'll see. I'm not worried about it. It'll come back and produce more. I pronounced it Hollier. All the Cajuns probably pronounce it Alye or Huye. But it's even dropped some fruit. And again, these are all just second-year trees, so I realize they're still a little temperamental. But growing trunk, this one in particular, the trunk is really getting thick. It got so heavy up here on the top that I've had to brace it a little bit in some of these crazy spring winds that we've had. My champagne is finally starting to put on some little figlets. For the longest time, it was just kind of not doing much, but it seems to be cooking a lot better now. So Scots Black, same thing. For the longest time, wasn't really looking like it was gonna do much fruit-wise, but it's finally starting to put on some figlets. I know Scots Black is a later fig anyways, and so I'm not terribly concerned. One of the best ones of the bunch out here, even though it's a wonky looking tree, this is LSU Strawberry. This is an excellent fig. Goodness gracious. Sweet, jammy, just a great fig. Starting back here, this is O'Rourke. Gosh dang, is it happy and kind of growing all over the place. This whole lower piece right here is a root layer that I'll take off in the fall and then try to get this to grow more upright, but it's got figs on it, and so that's exciting. My LSU Gold, for the longest time, wasn't growing, wasn't really doing much of anything, even though it had some figs. And I'm not sure if these are, I don't know if Gold produces Breba or not. These figs have been on there for a really long time. But then all of a sudden it shot up this sucker right here and pushed out this leader right here. And so it's starting to do some things. This was maybe one of my biggest surprises last year. It was still in a container last year. This is LSU Red, and I had one of these that had dried on the tree. I had missed it, and it dried up, and holy cow, was it good. So my plan with this tree is to try to, if I can keep the varmints and the critters and the birds away from it, if I let these things dry up on the tree as much as I can, that's when they really get delicious. But it seems to be happy, even though I may need to stake it too, because it started a little bit of a lean. This is that Smith that I had put in the ground earlier this spring. And when I moved it out here, I moved it because I didn't feel like it was getting enough sun. Everything I've read and heard about Smith is that it really needs strong sunlight to produce the figs. And so when I put it out here, this piece here and this piece here were the only really leaders. Growth was the only growth that had figs growing on it. And since moving it out here to where this branch, limb, leader, whatever you want to call it, is now getting as much sun as these other two, look at all the figs that are now growing on that side. So maybe it does prove the point that Smith really is dependent on heavy dosage of sun to be productive. And then last, but certainly not least, even though it has taken a beating and looks really ugly right now. This was a backup Santa Rita that I had that I decided to put in the ground, and we've just had crazy winds, and where it was in the backyard, it wasn't getting near the intensity of heat that it's been getting out here, so it's got some sunburn and all kind of stuff. I'm not worried about it. It's a tough cultivar, and it'll make it and get itself going, but it's got figs on it. And so that's about it, folks. I hope everybody else's trees are growing well and covered in figs, and we should be getting close to some of the first early main crop coming in. Y'all be good. Get your hands dirty.